thank you so much for having us this day. We are excited and delighted to have you at Hope TV.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, we are excited to have you around.
All right. Let's start by getting to know who is Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, other than the second lady. What does she like to do when she's out of office? What's her favorite food?
That's interesting. If you start asking me about my favorite food, I think I love to eat ugali and spinach, and also, of course, nyama choma. Yeah, and sometimes I love to take fish, the whole fish, the one that is looking at you as you eat it. So, some of those, of course, yes.
Any jogging here and there you do?
Yeah, yes, of course. We do walk in the morning with His Excellency. This is something that we have done for many years. For many years, we wake up at 5 or sometime 4:30. Then we just take a 1 hour to 1.5 hour walk. And when perhaps we are not up to going for those walks, we go to the gym for 1 hour. Yes.
Great. Thank you for creating time for this. We know you have a busy schedule. Maybe Kenyans would ask, how do you handle all that?
I guess as a mother and as a working mother and a leader, from my background, I've been a banker for 16 years, so I've worked within the public sector, even private sector, and obviously what I'm doing now is not different from what I was doing when I was working with the bank, because I've always dealt with people. The other side of me is that my husband has always been in the public life as a district officer. When he started in 1990, I was a banker, he was a district officer, and we were always with the public. And therefore, it is not very easy sometimes because you have to take so much time. But I thank God that it has come, especially this office, has come when my young men are already, they have finished their university, they're in their homes, and therefore that space that used to be there, I take more time now with the public and in the office, and sometimes now I spare it for them. So because they are also busy, we are also busy, my husband is busy, so we just consolidate ourselves to one day in a week where we come and sit. And now we are also doing a lot of morning exercises with them, because you see, with all this hustle and bustle, everyone is calling, you have meetings to go, you have this and the other. So what is happening right now, we have decided on the morning, we have a morning call-up where we are all now sitting so that you attend to the family, and then after that you also get yourself in the office and the outside.
Okay, wow. Ni ofisi kubwa. It's a lot of expectations. Perhaps in your childhood, as you grew up, did you ever imagine this is where you'd be today?
I cannot say that I imagined or dreamt being here, but I did ask God to give me a space to serve, because in my life, as you can see, as a pastor, I was inclined to serving the people of God. And of course, we can say it is by grace that I'm here. It has come gradually, because as I was working in the church, as I was serving with my husband and seeing the kind of crisis and trouble people are going through, in my heart I kept asking God, how can I help? And I believe that come the 2022 general elections, that is when I started feeling even more prompting that I needed to do more. And so I consolidated the church agenda program, where we said that the church had interest in the 2022 general elections, because I've seen from the previous time, they say the church and government do not mix or politics and government do not mix. But I was of a different opinion for a very long time. One, because it is not biblical. There is no way someone can tell you that church and government has ever been separated. That is a creation of people so that the church does not have a voice, and it is not included in the decision-making tables. And it is just simple. Just go to the Bible from the beginning. The first government was God's government, where he was a theocracy. He was a minister for finance, he was everything. And he was a politician, he was everything. And after that, we said we wanted to be like everybody else. And if you see the government of Saul, God never at one time spoke to the king. He spoke through the prophet. And that tells us over all these years, since the beginning of human government, the government and the church has always been together. And the moment you start to separate them, you start to see gaps, because that space which we refuse as Christians to get into, it is the space that where you find decisions are made about development, about registration that affects the church. It is the same space that affects the ethics and morals of a nation. And if you look right now, we are having crisis just because the church was not there. And therefore, that is why you find that as I'm working, I'm putting myself in the area where the space of ministry is seen a central role. And you can see they are starting to recognize that the church must also be included in government, because we need to be on the tables when they are discussing. If it is syllabus, we want to be consulted, so that you do not go and bring these areas that would come and affect our children in a negative way. We also, as pastors and preachers, we serve the same people that the politician is serving. So we feed them spiritually, and at the same time, when there are crises, where there are problems, if it is people with disabilities, if it is women, the widows and all that, they come to us, and they also need advocacy, where you can go and tell them, no, here there is an area that we need to address, because the widows need more care. They need more advocacy. They need to be taken care of, the orphans as well. So as a church and also as a government, those are the things that you see me running around and working like crazy, making sure that we are heard. The people who are in the church are the voice of the voiceless and the face of the faceless. And you see, with this big office here, which you are asking, I want to become the champion of the vulnerable populations, those who cannot speak for themselves. And that's why you find the pillars that I'm addressing here. It's a boy child, the one which is my pet subject. If you talk to me about boy child, you see me smile, and I can talk to you for hours, because it is something that is important. You cannot leave the seed carrier out there and expect to have a generation, or to have a church, or to have a family, or to have a community. And God, when he was creating, he created both male and female. And we must go by divine order. If you destroy the divine order, you destroy everything. And then we have the widows and the orphans. This is something I've done even from when I was in university. I come from a background where my father died when we were very young, and we were brought up by a widow. And so as I have been walking in my life, I wanted to make easy the life of widows and orphans, because I knew the kind of challenges that they go through. And that is another pillar that is here. The third one is people living with disabilities. If you see the longest, right now, if you go to the School of the Blind, you go to the Joy Town, they are not the same school. Even the School of the Deaf across the nation, you will find they have been removing capitation from those schools and integrating them with other children. And what is happening to these young people is that they are being taken to a place where there are no structures. And the church ought to see and know when the vulnerable needs help. Because the joy towns of the time when we were in school were beautiful schools, and those people had infrastructure that is able to address their needs, their physical needs, and also like how do they go to the washroom, how do they listen, what whatever facilities they need to be able to write. When you bring a blind person to a school where there is a blackboard and you don't buy them brailles, so they don't see the board. So how they have nothing to write with, it means you have disadvantaged those people. Yes. Same thing to the people who are deaf. You don't have a teacher who is teaching with signs so that he can see and be able to understand what the teacher is saying. And so the integration which they are doing is good, but it must have infrastructure. And so this office again wants to champion that particular space so that as we are moving towards integration, maybe the integration should be reversed in the way the people who are able are the ones who are brought to the place where the infrastructure is okay. And then as we are working, then we can facilitate that school. And once the infrastructure is there, the two schools now become like one. And that is the third pillar. And the fourth pillar, of course, it is chaplaincy and family values. And that, because that's another space. If you want to change a community, that chaplaincy in schools, it used to work a lot better than it is doing now. And therefore, we want to advocate for chaplains from primary school, secondary school, in TVETs, in every institution, even of government, so that this mental illness you are seeing can be addressed early. Morals and ethics can also be addressed when children are young, because you can only bend it when it is young, otherwise it will break. So that is some of the things that this office you are talking about, it's working on.
Wow, we keep praying for more grace to bring into fruition this vision that will affect a lot of generations to come. Let's talk about the boy child today. Allow us to do so because it is the day of the man. Perhaps when did this vision begin for you? Was it even way back before occupying office?
The boy child, because I used to work at Cooperative Bank, the very bottom. And every time you're driving Uhuru Highway, you find these young men who are ever around. And as I was driving to the office, they would come near a car and everyone would roll the windows up. And I was asking myself, why do they do this to these young people? Of course, sometimes they can be very menacing and they are showing you stuff. But one day I just decided to dare and see what these boys were all about. So when they came near my car, I just rolled down the window and you could see he was shocked. And then, of course, he smiled, and he had the most handsome smile I'd seen. And of course, that day I was armed. I came with bread and milk, so I gave to him. The next time I stopped, I gave somebody, and that whole street, every time I would pass there, they would say I was their mother. They protected my car. And you see, I realized it is the way we judge others. And I knew they were there. I asked them why they were there. And some of them told me that they were there because their father died. And they are now the ones who are the breadwinners. So they are going and begging in the streets. Others, I think they were mistreated by their parents, so they were in the streets for very different reasons. Others, they are hungry and they are trying to look and ache for some food and something. And therefore, I decided slowly by slowly, I would see them, but I was praying for them for that long. But as we have continued to this day, I have seen the crisis continue to increase, and right now I can tell you it's a pandemic. And it's not only either, that's why I'm not calling it an epidemic, because it will be Kenya specific. But in Africa and in the whole world, the boy child has a big issue where everyone judges them and rejects them, because you go out there and in the evening a girl comes and knocks at the door and they want some food, or they want some help. You will give them, and you'll be very sympathetic. If it is a boy, you will even call the police, even before you know what they have come to do. And you see now they are growing, radicalized to a level that they feel the society does not want them. And they are fighting. And then there are so many. Some of them is lack of employment. And when they come into this town, the dynamics are very different. Because we come from, maybe where I come from, Donyoshege, you come to Nairobi. There is no one even to talk to. You cannot be housed by anybody. When you're in the local communities, anywhere you went, you would be given some food. But here, you try even to come near somebody, they roll up the windows, they call you names. And then, of course, when you cannot find a job, they start with glue. The next thing, they are in drugs, alcohol, and they become vendors. And look everywhere, Uhuru Park, anywhere you go, the shops, you go to Rithuri Avenue, they are full there. And that is a time bomb waiting to explode. And when I looked at them, I decided I wanted to make a difference for them. Because those are boys with dreams. They have vision, but they are dead. And I always say, a man with a dead dream is a dead man. When they have no control of their lives, they are hopeless. They do not see tomorrow. Then what they are going to do is that they are going to make other people suffer, because they will come for you. What you have, they get. And they don't care, because they don't have hope, they don't have a future, they really they don't have a destiny as such. And so we are trying to reshape the destiny by going there, speaking to them. First, what we have decided to come out with a boy child program that is holistic. It starts from one end and ends to another, so that you do not just rehabilitate them, rescue them, rehabilitate them, and then put them back to the streets. Because same frustration, same depression, and then eventually what will happen, they will go back to, they will relapse. So what we have done, we may not do very many, but I'm willing, even if it is one. You rescue from the gutter, they come to the churches, and that is what I've been appealing to the churches to do. We have sat with the mothers of the land, the church mothers, and we have agreed together with the church faith fathers that in our place of worship we open feeding kitchens for the homeless, because in any case that is exactly what we were called for. And we have forgotten our calling and our mission. And so we have opened several kitchens. There's one at House of Grace for widows. We have another one in Donholm for the boy child. We have others in Kibera and Korogocho for them. And what we are trying is to work out a way they can go and eat, so that those ones who were in the streets because of food, that will eliminate the need to go back there. And the young ones, we are sponsoring them back to school. The ones who are screened and they are found to be addicted, we are taking them to rehab centers. The other thing that we have in the program is spotting. We realized that the sporting is helping a lot. There in Laikipia, there are about 360 teams that played for 3 months. During those 3 months, they never touched alcohol. They never touched drugs. And when we went there to get them off, they said they wanted to go a second round. And so now we have put them on a second round of those sports. And we are going to start another one here in Nairobi. We already have identified these young people. But this one is not a soccer like any other, it's a health soccer. And we are appealing to people to adapt a team, because there's 680 teams, and that is 8 teams per ward. In Nairobi, we have 85 wards. And therefore, we will start those games, because we saw it's another way of getting them off the streets and off the drugs, and it's community-based. When they come for the ward playoff, you find the medics come there. There's a medical camp that comes there. Then we have the psychologists who are going to be there. We have psychiatrists who are going to be there. And the clergy is going to be there to be able to give both physical and spiritual, and mentor them. We are starting mentoring programs for them, so that these boys of ours can find fathers. Actually, the biggest problem you have with the boy children is lack of mentorship. They want fathers, and we are asking, where are the fathers? And we say, since the fathers, maybe some of those are children from single parenthood, we are asking the church to provide that space, so that when they come, the men in the church and pastors should give that mentorship and give that comfort to a boy who has been longing to have a father influence. And so we are going to have many seminars and programs for mentorship from boys to men. And I think when we start doing that, we'll be fulfilling our commitment to God to serve his people. And I am asking men to be careful not to leave the other men outside, because there are very many. If right now you really wanted men to actually take one man to man, I think we would have changed very many. But of course it takes a mother. A mother must rise up in any generation to save the seed carrier. There was a time of Pharaoh. It is Jochebed who was able to identify satanic agenda, where the boys were being killed to reduce the population of the Hebrews. And those 5 women, that is Jochebed, Miriam, and there was the lady of the Pharaoh, and the 2 Sivra and Pua. Those are the ones that rose up at that time. Deborah was another one who rose at another time as a mother. And he changed the villages to cities and pulled those who were on the byway to the highway. And I believe it is time, and we have very many women in many areas, and I'm here at such time as this to do that.
Perhaps looking back, and I like how you put it, that at times as a society we are very hard on men. You know, a man will ask for help and you'll be like, you can't go and work like other men do. And the question is, where did the rain start beating us? You know, where did we start, quote unquote, neglecting the boy child and being too hard on him?
I think the society has been very hard on the boy child, because culturally the man is supposed to have no emotions, and this is a bad thing. We tell them, oh, don't cry, like a sissy. Okay, they go to the kitchen, you tell them to come out. They don't be like your mother. And they continue every day being given images of a woman as a weaker vessel, and therefore to be strong is to be opposite. And we never tell these boys what to do. And I think the rain started when we started to emphasize on the girl child, the affirmative action for the girl child. The Beijing conference where the women, they go, they speak, and they forget a woman cannot succeed without a man. Because at the end of the day, this woman will have a husband and they bear children. And when you give birth, you give to a male, you give to a female child. They all need equal chances, equal love, equal attention. And once you raise one and leave the other, the imbalance, you will experience it by having neglect on one. We had neglected the girl and we needed all that. But the moment we didn't work on the boy as well, that is where we made a mistake, and we must correct it now. That the girl child now has gone, she's well resourced, she's tuned, as they say, she has a good job, she has good education, but the boy is in the gutter. So just tell me, how will you make families? One in the gutter, the other one on top there. And we need now to retrace our steps and start even right now. When we are bringing up the boy child, let him get in contact with his emotions. Let's create also a good image of the woman in the mind of this young man. Because when you tell him you are like your mother, you are like a sissy every time they are doing, and you are actually beating them. How do you expect in the future this young man who is wired to disrespect women will respect the woman he marries, will respect the womankind, and not be the one to cause the woman or inflict the woman with the pain? The GBV, the gender-based violence, it originates from where we left teaching them the right things. Because if you say this, you are like a sissy, it means that sissy is a bad person. You are like your mother. That mother image, even though they respect you, they don't think you are anything of value. Because when you want to beat anything, you talk of a woman. And therefore, we need to go back and make these men in touch with their emotions. The second thing is teach them to respect the women by speaking the right things to them. We must teach them right and get them access to all facilities that the girl is getting. If he needs attention, let him be given attention. If he wants to cry, the girl cries, nobody asks. If he wants to go to the kitchen, let him go to the kitchen. Allow him to be, because that is what he is. He is a human being, but he is taught not to be.
I like that this is coming, from a place of authority. Let the man cry. Teach him to be in touch with his emotions, because for a very long time, we've taught him the hard way, do not show your tears in public, do not cry, do not listen to women when they speak. And perhaps speaking to viewers who are watching us, who say when a man cries, he's weak. We are creating a society of weak men. I'd like you to say something about this. Why it's important to let the man be in touch with his emotion, that it is not making him weak, it's making him human.
You see, when you ask a man not to talk, not to speak their emotion, they bottle a lot of pressure within them. Because the man, as a leader and the head of a household, maybe is going through some financial crisis. He will not say anything because he's taught to be a man. Unaumia kiofisa. Usiseme kitu, just be there, keep quiet, don't say anything, just try, even if you fail, don't say anything. Let them be able to speak to whoever is listening. If it is a mother, let them, give them space, let them talk to you, so that they start to release and they start to relate and to be real. Because if you do not allow them to speak, and that pressure builds, you have seen that many, if you take the average of the widows and the widower, you'll find that the men die faster because of the pressures of life. If you also go to the many who are now taking pressure medicine, they are the most, diabetes, everything. So they die early. And we are the ones who are widowed. So we need to bring up this young man and these young men, these boy children, in touch with their emotions. Allow them to speak. Allow them to be human. So that even now they can be able to speak to the other men, they can speak to the other women. You know, if I'm angry, of course I would throw tantrums and everything. What will the man do? Nothing. He just keeps quiet there. He walks away angry. And he does nothing about it. Tomorrow the same, the next day. So it is building. And that's why if you come even to the people who are committing suicide more, it is the man. Because they don't have an outlet. They don't have way to vent. And we need now to teach them how to vent. They need to create groups. I remember the other time we were talking with my sons, and they have a group where they can vent. They can speak, you know, freely with people who understand them. And when they do that, they are able to see. Maybe they just speak about being jilted by a girl. And when you think it is such a big thing, the other boy is telling me, this is my third. So, and I'm still here. So you don't have to commit suicide. And I'm thinking it is that platform, an allowance for someone to be able to speak. Because that is how we do it. Even ourselves as women, we find other women in the chamas. Men don't even have chamas. Yeah, they're always working, every day working. And the next the day, the other place you find them are in the dens. Yeah, drinking. Yeah, to forget their troubles. And then they wake up, the troubles are staring at them in the morning. So now they have continued to drink themselves to sleep. And they wake up to unlock. They go back there. And most of them, that is why I'm telling you, my boy children are in the gutter. Because they never go home. They are drinking, and because some of them may not even have the money to buy the right stuff, they are drinking poison. Yeah. You have no idea. These things you hear about illicit beer and wines and spirits, they are real poisons. The other time we were just dealing with the people who are using they are using weed killer to put inside the wines, and when they do it, you drink yourself to death because you get thirsty and you never quench that thirst. So they drink and drink and drink until they are dead. And this is a kind of nation and people, evil, wicked people we are dealing with, that for money they can do anything. And therefore, we must now go and rescue them out of that and allow them to speak, give them forum. And churches are many, and we are so many. If every church was having mentorship for the young men, where men go with men and they go speak. They take them for even 1 day or 2 days, and it doesn't matter who. You get even those ones from the streets. Let them come to the church. We make ablution box. That is what we are doing. They come, they wash, we give them clothes. And then they go for mentorship as we are preparing to see how best we can be able to deal with the crisis of the boy child.
Earlier on you said you bend them while they are young. In Kiswahili wanasema samaki mkunje angali mbichi. And I want us to look back at parenting the boy child. And you've mentioned the role of a mother in, securing a dignified future for the boy child. Is this something that should change? The mother should be soft towards the girl child and the boy child as well. Pull them closer. Because I know for a fact, from a very young age, a man is expected to do something in the house, you know, compared to his sister. Yeah.
I think one of the areas that you find more crisis is single parenthood, where you get now the boy in a situation they do not have a man influence in the house. When the others, the ones who have a father, it's a bit different, because when I'm bringing up I'm a mother of 2 boys, so I know when I am bringing them up at tender age, up to 5 years, that is my responsibility, to teach them how to respect, to honor. It is me to be able to bend this towards respect, honor, and instilling the right morals and ethics. And we must be available. Many of the times, we were brought up by mothers who are available to listen to you. Fortunately, at that time, even grannies were there, and they would tell you about stories that will connect to morals, and you could pick them even from the young. Well, now the grandmas are not there, the mother is very busy. But if you decide to have a child, and I'm speaking this, looking at this camera, you had better take care of your children. Create time. Do not give them to the TV. Do not give them to social media. Give time for your children. You must have time for your children. And you will see, like mothers, if you are a single mother, you may have more challenges because you have to work doubly, because you are the breadwinner, you are the one who is taking them to school and all that. But I think we can do better by just trying to get an uncle or a man's influence around your son, so that when he's growing, he's also getting the other side. Because when they get to a certain level, no matter how much you have loved that child, you look for a man. They'll be looking for their fathers. And I think what we can do to help is get the uncles, get friends who can be able to speak to that boy as he's growing, so that the other side of a man, you are the one who is, they are helping you to mentor that other side. Because as a woman, there are things we don't go through, okay? And men go through. For girls, I will be able to advise them very well, because the way I'm wired is a woman. But I'm not wired for a man. So my boys, when they got to a certain stage, their father took over. And especially when they got to the teenage, or when I needed firmness, I would call the father and I would tell them, I think we are having an issue here, and you deal with it. A mother, I would deal on the other side. So there is a need, as we are bringing up these young men, to have a male influence within the family. How we do it, I think even the single women could find a place where, like where we are mentoring boys to men, they can take them to the church. If you don't have a relative who is willing to help, then you can take them to the church, because there are programs that are now running specifically designed to shape these young men. And I think it would be very nice if we were to take that space and change their lives.
Wow. Let's talk about the space of, or rather the role of Christianity and religion in terms of also securing a dignified future. You've called on both churches. You said, let's set up a safe space for the boy child when they come. Why is it important for us to have Christianity on board?
The Bible says true religion is that which takes care of the weak and the widows and the orphans. The Bible also is very clear that we can do ministry, you can go prophetic, you can do miracles, and you can do everything. But the bottom line is service that you give to mankind. And I believe that we went to a place where the church forgot its mandate. It came out from winning souls to confining itself into the four walls. We are building stone buildings, but not the spiritual buildings. And I think it is time that we came out of the comfort of dancing and singing within the four walls and preaching to the preached. Every day you are preaching to the same people, and your church does not even increase. You are 400 at the end of the day. You can not save the saved. You cannot deliver those who are delivered. And what you need to do is actually to go out there. The church of the future is in the gutter. It is in the dens. And we used to go there for crusades. I remember when we were in secondary school, there were challenge weekends. We need to go back there and go for challenge weekends. And we went to some other course, and they were saying, if you want to know how many people got saved on crusades, you find they are very few. But most of the people, 80% of the people who got saved, actually in primary school. Because when you go there, it is a soul that is willing to absorb. It is like it's like a sponge. The moment you speak to it, they may get saved many times, like I did. Actually, I don't know when I got saved, because any time there was an altar call, I was there. Anytime there was a rally and I went and they asked who is going to accept Jesus, I was there. But God has kept it, because salvation, ours is to speak the word of God. But salvation is of the Lord. And he keeps it because he knows. So if we go to primary schools, secondary schools, you find that is the harvest place. In fact, that is a vineyard that we have neglected. If you do not go to that vineyard of God, you'll only have yourself to blame. When you come to people in the universities, very few get saved. But you'll find many are down there, the young children. So the churches must concentrate in giving that word and ministry to the children ministry and the youth ministry. It must be made very strong. In any case, they are the future. It's a future church. If you do not have, everything that you need, then things are going to be very bad, because you remove prayers from the schools. They said that the pastors should not go to schools to pray, because they help in the instilling of exams. What does that tell to the communities? That the church is not a place of integrity. That is what it meant. The next thing they say, the parents should not even go to school during exams. And what are we doing to our children? We are leaving them in a times where they are in a crisis. You are fearful about an exam. There is no pastor to pray with you. There is no parent to be with you. You are just faced with that fear with the people who come with guns and what, they take you out and all that, and it has become so mechanical, and the person now who we are bringing up is no longer interested in our God. So we must take God back to the families, we must take God to the church, we must take God to secondary schools, we must take God back to colleges before it's too late. The route we are going is the same route America went. Those cathedrals that we are building now, who will be going there? If you go to UK, they are drinking dens now, the cathedrals. So I would prefer that we go back to our original mandate, where we are supposed to go out and reach out to the soul, tell people the good news, feed them, clothe them, care for them, nurture for them. That is the work of the church. The widows are dying out there. Many are suffering. and the church is still dancing, and the church is still worshiping. Only once in a while you go for a rally, events out there. We need to have a lifestyle that ministers to the kingdom day and night, so that people can start to love our God. And that's why you see when I go out there, I tell them I'm Pastor Dorcas. Even when you're in this office, I've not changed. I still minister. I still do ministry in the church.
Wow.
Yes. If I was ushering, I don't stop.
Oh, really?
No, I can't. Why should I? Because that was my first ministry and for my first calling. And the one who called me is faithful. And for people to know this God, he's the one they saw me praying for many years. He's the one who has brought me here. So I'll not stop praying, and I'll minister by myself and the way I do things, the way I touch lives. You cannot just be telling people, and when they look at you, they don't see the difference. I think it is time the church became the real church, a church like Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was never in the temple of Jerusalem. How many times do you find him there? He was in the public there, speaking and addressing their crisis. And then when he was leaving, two things concerned Jesus. He asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? Feed my sheep. 3 times until he was almost angry. The other thing he said, when the Son of Man return, will he find faith? It is the same concern I'm raising today. Because where is faith? Because faith that does not have works is dead. So we are having faith where we pray and do nothing to alleviate the suffering and the struggles of others. That's not church. I don't know what it is, but we need to change. Yeah.
I remember when you publicly shared your passion for the boy child, there's a lot of talk on social media that this is a fresh voice, because for a long time we had heard about the empowering of the girl child, and for minutes there was excitement. And I'd like just to ask, how's it going since then? What strategies are in place? Yeah.
I thank God because he gave me a vision, and I think it's a good vision, and it is working. And the boldness he gave me, I thought the other day when there was this young lady, when she was making my face, when I'm going to the inaugural, whatever, she asked me what I'm going to do, and I said boy child. Then it went viral. And then of course, now I was under that pressure to perform. So I went on advocacy. And I think God has really come through. If you look right now, that advocacy has worked wonders. The president, the deputy president, the interior cabinet minister, and the entire government is working on the crackdown of illicit beer, spirits, and all this, and substance abuse. And that tells you, if you pray to God and you listen to him, and you are following the voice of God and the vision he has given you, he will back you up. And I'm so happy right now because it is not only myself who is doing it, the whole government goodwill is backing the vision. And I'm very happy because when you see the president, the way he's talking, he is no joke when it comes to those matters. And they are also trying within the government to make structures and to come with programs that you'll be able to incorporate this space for the boy child so that they get rehabilitation. They also get trained in the TVETs, and they get work with the affordable housing. And that's why we are saying there are some things that people may be talking out there. But if we have to change the way the situation we are in and to create jobs, we have to go for a sector that can accommodate very many. And to be able to bring over 2 million, 3 million, it is what the president is talking about. the affordable housing. Because if you think about 2,000 houses with about 8 people, how many people do you employ? And of course the value chain. And that means we are going to transform our economy. And I think it is important if we are going to address the unemployment. We don't have always to go for the white collar jobs. Even like the boy children who are around me here, they are not wearing collars, but they are doing a good job. And I think it is time that we teach our youth. That's what we are doing. We are involving them in the environmental protection and preservation. And we are doing the growing of trees. As the government is working with the chiefs and everyone to stop this illicit, the illegal, whatever, of selling of substance and all that. We are also taking them to rehabs, and there is also the sporting space. There is also the technology, the cyber, whatever hubs that are coming up, and we are getting online jobs. So we are trying to mob them out from the streets and bringing them to space where we know that they will be able to be empowered, trained, and made and validating their dreams.
And reintegration of ex-convicts. I saw you recently, you visited the prison.
Oh, that's another one that made me cry. The other day I went to Kiambu prison. I went and found 500 young men. They are just sitting inside this, the walls of the cells. And I asked myself, that is great potential being wasted there. And we are trying to see how best that can be worked out so that we do not have that kind of a situation. That was 500 young men sitting there doing nothing. In fact, that's what I asked them, what are you doing here? If you don't change, you remain here, and someday you will be nobodies. Because you sit here, you are radicalized. By the time they come out, it's a big crisis. That's another angle that I have to sit down and together with the Rhine ministries, we see how best we can be able to work out in the church. And the greatest space is the church. I believe it is the clergy that is going to crack here. And we are having a homegrown solution where it is community-based. Everyone is involved, including the mothers, including the people who are around, the church and everybody. And I'm not only talking about the church, because here when I say clergy, I mean even the Muslim and even the Hindus. We have met with them, because where you go, like when we were in Mombasa, those days, we have Muslim. So I asked them, the imams, we had a meeting with them, and the sheikhs. I told them it is time also they take the responsibility over their own and bring them out and see how we can train them, empower them, clean them up, mentor them, and revalidate their dreams. That is what we are doing, even those ones. Yeah. I saw them and I'm still thinking what to do. Yeah, because you see, the law has to be followed. You can't go behind the bars and pull everyone out, because you see, some have committed crimes. There are others who maybe we are coming out with maybe a committee to advise how best to address now, because the crackdown is going to cause very many to be put in behind bars. And maybe you do not want the young one to go and fight the hardcore criminals, and by the time they come out, those who are in remand, they are with the others. So that is a space that, one, we have also to pray as a church and know exactly what we need to do. So that is something I'm thinking very seriously, and I know God will give away.
Amen. Amen. Maybe what does the future look like? I know there are a lot of activities, a lot of strategies, a lot of areas where, we want to rescue the boy child from. Just look, if we can project the future, what does it look like?
I think it's very bright. you know, Rome was not built in one day. And every journey starts with a step. And we went for advocacy. Now we have government goodwill. You have seen the spirits, even they have banned the bringing in of these sachets and all that. So once that combined effort to remove the temptation and to bring those things to our children here, if it's not there, you find that you'd have reduced by a percentage. The next thing is to start the rehab process, which we have started. We have already taken like 100 and something to the rehab centers. We are coming up with another one here at City Park, which is a temporary structure, but where we want those ones who are outpatient to be coming so that we can rescue very many. And then, of course, we have the football. And when I look, I see a future. And with the government programs, the Hazara funds and all this, if they are harnessed and they are anchored properly, I think that one will also bring out many and for self-employment and also for other the affordable housing programs. So we will mop out quite a number, but this one needs also the church to come out. The others, the church can also do something about them. Yeah, those young ones, we are sponsoring them back to school. Those ones who are graduates and they didn't finish, we find them in rehab centers. We are trying to take them back. They go to rehab. After rehab center, we are sponsoring them back to campuses. The young ones, we are taking them back to primary school. And the ones who may not want to go to school, they are going to TVET for vocational training. We tool them, and others we connect them with jobs. So the future is bright.
Maybe before we wrap up, I'd ask what has kept this vision going since the very first day where you rolled down your windows and gave out that bread and milk, till today you're still talking passionately, you know, about the boy child and empowering him and securing a dignified future. What has kept this alive?
The spirit of a mother. They are my children. And when they are out there, I'm not comfortable. I have my own children. I'm only here by grace. Maybe my children have advantage because God blessed me. And I know I could be there. My background, as you know, from Kiadutu, perhaps I'll be in those streets. And so that zeal and compassion towards a people I know, you go to those streets, I've been there. It's not new. So when I go, I see them, I can identify with their plight, and I can feel their heartbeat. And when I see those eyes, I know what they are saying. They've been praying to God and praying that one day somebody would help. If nobody helped me when I prayed, I'll not be here. And therefore, I cannot sleep. I cannot rest. I must go out there and get out as many and help where I could, and also advocate to the other people so that they can also see and start to be sensitized about the plight of boy children who are out there and they need their help. They don't need condemnation. They don't need judgment. They need help. Some of them are sick because you see those people, the moment you get into drugs and you are in mental illness, a sick person, you must help by taking them to hospital, treat them, and then you can blame them when you know they are sober and they are okay. But we cannot sit in the comfort of our homes talking about chokoras, talking about street people, talking about thieves, talking about drug addicts and all that, and we are doing nothing. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility, it is my responsibility, and we are accountable to God. And we must do it, and quick enough. The king's business requires haste.
What would be your parting shot to our viewers, to stakeholders, to the society, to mothers, fathers? Yeah.
I must say that I am very excited to know that when we have been going out there, many of you are trying to help. And I have very many who have even sent documents here showing that you are dealing with a boy child and you would like to pitch and to be embodied so that we can work together. What I'm asking every person, no matter how small the income is, if you can only take one, imagine we had 20 million able people. They take just one, there will be no one in the streets. And so as God has it, you are the God who is here, and you are the mind of God, you are the hand of God. And what God wants you to do is just make a step. The rest He'll help you. I don't think I'm the richest woman. I don't think even I have the resources. But because God gave me the vision and I'm listening and working by the Spirit, I have seen great help coming from even places I never imagined. I never thought it would gather the momentum and the government will be putting its might on it. And as the government does it, do your part so that we flush out these drug barons and we nurture our children, and we also save the seed carrier, the boy child. That is my pet subject. I can continue doing that for the next 2 hours now.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us today, for sharing your story with us, your passion for the boy child with us. I must say, as a nation, we're blessed to have a second lady with such a vision, and not only have it, but also see her work towards achieving it and securing, a dignified future for the boy child. Yeah, we appreciate it.